Lead Young.
Hi, I'm Alan Nilsson. Welcome to Coaching Young Leaders. This series is for people who work with student leaders, whether they be activities directors, student government representatives, parents, or youth workers. This three-part mini-series focuses on the three most common errors I see in student leadership programs. The first problem is not having a declarative definition of leadership. We discussed this in session 101. The second problem is failing to identify students gifted in leadership ability. We'll discuss this in a moment. And in the next webinar, we'll address the third problem, failing to train student leaders before unleashing them. In 1972, Sid Marlin, the Commissioner of Education, presented to Congress a state of gifted and talented education in the United States. In it, he introduces 6 domains of talents, one of which is leadership. Since then, the U.S. Department of Education and several states continue to recognize leadership as a unique gift and talent, even though most schools don't do anything to identify or develop these students. We refer to this unique ability as the O factor, referring to organizational leadership, supporting the definition we used in the previous webinar. So how do we know what students are gifted at leading? Who possess the O factor? If you look at qualities that people seek in leaders, some of these are also what we hope for in people who don't lead. These are what we call type 2 qualities, and that they are what we desire in all people. But what makes leaders unique from others? What are the qualities that leaders possess that allow them to lead which others do not possess? These are what we call type 1 qualities, distinguishing leaders from non-leaders. Here are some examples of type 2 leader qualities. We want our leaders to have 21st century skills such as critical thinking, collaboration, creativity, and the ability to communicate. We also want them to be confident, humble, ethical, positive, smart, and adaptable. Yet, these are also qualities we hope for our team members who aren't expected to lead. When we select leaders based on these qualities, we're more apt to make type 2 errors. One type 2 error is false positives, where we label something it is not. For example, pregnant women have protruding bellies, but everyone with a protruding belly isn't pregnant. In this case, we see someone with several of these qualities we like to see in leaders and just assume they're a leader because they have them. Another type 2 error is confusing correlation with causation. For example, the more firemen that get sent to the fire, the more damage is done. Obviously, firemen don't cause the damage, but more intense fires do, requiring more firemen. So just because we see leaders with certain qualities doesn't mean these actually cause them to lead, and that it's not what is unique to leaders. We found 4 categories that are unique to leaders. Thus, we refer to them as type 1, and that when they are together in a person, that person will likely emerge as a leader in a group. They are titled persuasive, propelled, planner, and power. So let's briefly introduce each one. Leaders are persuaders. That means they have the ability to get others to see things differently and buy into their ideas and vision. Although most are good at communicating, it's not just a matter of who talks the most, but rather who gets listened to the most. These students are also good negotiators. They're able to persuade others to hear their ideas and frequently get them to change their behaviors. A second category is propelled. By propelled, we mean that leaders tend to be self-motivated. They possess an internal locus of control, meaning they don't determine their attitudes based on circumstances, but rather believe they can change things themselves. Self-efficacy has to do with a belief that you can achieve. In so doing, leaders get others to believe things are possible. Students with the O factor tend to be very goal-oriented and inspire others to follow them, not giving up easily or when challenges come their way. The third category is called planner. But by this we mean strategic in their thinking, able to see both the big picture as well as breaking it into parts that can be accomplished. They then assign tasks to others for a team effort. O factors combine right and left brain hemisphere processes so that they envision the end picture, but they can create steps to accomplish these goals. And the fourth type 1 leader quality involves power. The student's comfort in dealing with it as well as how she or he seeks influence. Sometimes O factors get pegged as troublemakers for their willingness to stand up against more powerful people. They also get selected for being in charge and are comfortable in these roles. Here are 3 quick recommendations for identifying students with the O factor, likely to possess high leadership aptitude. First, use the free social influence survey assessment on the Lead Young Training website. Adults take this on students. Just click the parent button if you want to see the results with a key. Second, you can read more about the gift of leadership in my book, The O Factor. And third, even if you work with selected students on ASB or student council, consider looking beyond this small group to identify other students who may have this unique ability and invite them into your leadership class or club or development program. I hope you found this webinar informative. Our goal at Lead Young Training Systems is to help you succeed in developing student leaders. I'm Alan Nelson. Thanks for joining us for this edition of Coaching Young Leaders. Lead on.
Lead Young.